Now I've got a little bit of data that's a little more crazy than what you've seen before. I've got healthcare data. I've got the respondent's ID, medical ID. I've got their age. I've got their sex, not gender, but sex. I've got yes or no questions all the way across here. And then I've got a P column for life expectancy less than 60. This data set actually belongs in our data mining course, and it's used to predict whether somebody is going to die before 60. So this is called binary language, as we've talked about before. And if you get a 1 here, it means that that person is complaining about vision or eyes. They're complaining about ear, nose, and throat. These are all their complaints that they're coming in with. Complaints could also mean things that they're verbalizing, or things that the doctor is seeing, whether through a test or just visually with their eyes. In other words, the person is coming in with these things in one way, shape, or form. So let's build a dashboard out of this so we can better understand some of our information. So let's just go ahead here. We'll insert pivot table. We'll go to the top left. And let's do one on gender first. Sorry, sex. See, in their data mining course, we talk a lot about gender versus sex in our data sets. So I apologize for saying gender there, just on my mind. And so now we've got it broken up by female and male. We don't have any others available here. If we put age in as a value, we're going to get a sum, but we don't want that. We actually want to go down to value field settings and do an average because it doesn't really make sense. Nobody talks in terms of, hey, my patients are 787 years old in total. Like, nobody talks that way. Okay? See here, we've got an average here. If you don't like the format, you go up to home. You can go some decimals, if you will. I'd even argue that that's one too many decimals. Nobody talks in decimals, so let's just go ahead and get rid of them, I guess. So we got 44 and 45. Pretty close there. So now let's go ahead and break out diabetes. What this is saying is that 4 of our females have diabetes. Of our males, 18 of them have diabetes. Now that means if we know that our data set has 50 people in it, so 50 people, that we can do a quick math, 22 out of 50, 44% of our population or of our data set has diabetes. Okay? So we can keep going with this. We can just bring them all over. But of course, we're going to have, every time we bring one over, we're going to have to fix up, if needed. Now, because we can leave the sum in here because we have ones and zeros. If we had any other data, we'd be in a situation like that age stuff. Look what we have here. Okay, I'm just going to go with this right now, and look what we have. We have twice, if not triple, the amount of men who have all these ailments. So you have to ask yourself, folks, this is where, again, the difference between stats and Excel work, but thinking business value here, how many males do we actually have in our data set? If we have, 40 males and only 10 females, that's one thing. That would explain why our numbers are so low. So let's go ahead here and let's put in respondent there. Now it's going to be a sum at first and it's not what we want. We're going to change it to a count. There we go. We have twice, almost 3 times as many males as females in this data set. So folks, your data is going to naturally be skewed simply because of that fact. Okay, let's make a chart out of this. Remember, go up to Analyze, Pivot Chart. Okay, now this can be quite crazy. So we're going to remove those field buttons. Or hide, I suppose. Hide all field buttons on this chart. And we can go up to Design if we want, and Quick Layout, and change our layout if we want. Many different ways you can look at this. This might be a nice way to look at it. Now, keep in mind, there's a lot of colors on here. So if you print this off, it might look pretty bad. Okay? And you can see what this looks like. Okay, I like this, but again, it could be difficult for people. You see how it says count and sum and all that stuff? Why don't we get rid of that? It's too much text. It's what we call data ink ratio. It's too much text. Let's just put average age, okay? And just put number of diabetes. See what's happening here? Our legend's starting to change. Number of vision, eyes. Number of ENT, ear, nose, throat. Number of heart. Yeah, let's just put cardiovascular. Number of lungs. I would put lungs, respiratory. And number of stomach. Bowel. Okay. So now in the count of respondents, we've put number of patients. Okay. So you might say to yourself, Professor, why did you change all those words? Why did you change respondent to patient? Well, because I'm a business person. And I know that we're going to want to present this information in a better light than just say, hey, here's our respondents. You know, these are people. These are our patients that we're caring for. And yeah, they responded to a survey or they responded to an information system, but we care about those things. Okay, so I'm going to create a new tab here for dashboard. Okay. And I'm going to bring over, well, these sheets just got all messed up in their names. Confused me for a minute. Over this one. Now we don't have a title, and that's going to hurt us because we don't know what this is, right? So go up here, quick layout. And again, I know we're distorting all this. Patient reported patient conditions. Okay, go back to that there. Now we lost our count of all this stuff. So you might want to go and find a better option so that your user community can see those numbers. Anyhow, I'm not going to mess around here and show you how to do all that. You can go over here to options over here, text options. You can do a bunch of stuff over here. You can add new things however you like and makes sense to you as a business person. Now, we can go ahead and make another one. Now remember, the key thing here with dashboards, you have to make a new pivot table for each one because eventually we're going to do slicers. And if those slicers move, all of your pivot tables move in the same way, and you might not want them all to move in the same exact way. Just take my word for it. So what we could do here is we could break down age a different way. So we could go to row, but you see how we have age 30 to 60? Let's go ahead and let's right click on the 30 there and go to group, and we're going to move this in tens. Okay, so now we've got 30 to 39, 40 to 49, 50 to 60. Okay, now you can slice your data however you want. Let's go this way. So we have, so we have number of people in there, but I actually wanted, see here, I wanted a column of this. So I wanted a column. Now I've got a count there as well. So I've got 5 females age 30 to 39. I've got 13 age 30 to 39 that are male. So we can make a pivot chart out of this as well. And this time, maybe that doesn't make sense because we have multiple variables. So maybe we do something like this time. Remember, those are annoying. We're going to remove all the field buttons. Okay. And I'm not going to spend my time here making the perfect chart for you. But, Let's go sex by age group. Okay, so very simple. We'll bring this over to our dashboard. Now the thing that I require you to do is make sure that your charts are the same size. So let's go ahead here. We're going to go up to Format, and see we have a 3 by 5 there. Let's do the same thing here. We're going to go here, make sure we have a 3 by 5. Okay, so now we have 3 by 5. They're the same size. Groovy. The other thing I like to do is I like to change the color on this. Now typically it'll be based on your company's colors. For a male clinic, maybe a navy blue, something like that. This isn't the perfect navy blue here, and obviously those differ, but we're just going to go with something here for those purposes. So back to a slicer. So when we go on here, we're going to click on this. We're going to go to Analyze, Insert Slicer. Let's do one based on, I don't know, life expectancy seems to be pretty important. And let's do it by sex, even though we've broken down sex quite a bit there, and age. So now we've got 3 slicers. That's perfectly fine. Let's copy these slicers out. Okay, copying them out. Now, what I want you to do, notice how one chart moves. Only that one chart moves. That's because this chart was made on a different pivot table, a different sheet. So all we have to do, as long as we made the pivot table off of the same data, go to Report Connections, chart number 2. I do the same over here. Report Connections, number 2. Report Connections, number 2. Now when we click on this, the charts change. Okay, here's the other thing I want you to do. This looks sloppy. I want you to use this real estate up there and put your charts or your slicers up there. And we're going to go to Options. We're going to put in number of columns. Let's go with 3. Okay. And we're just going to bring this up so that it's a nice little size there. Okay. I'll address the rest in a minute. We'll make 2 columns out of this one. Okay. And 2 columns out of this one. Okay. Now, just like before, you can see that our slicers have a goofy size. You can go up here to make sure you have a similar size level. Okay. I know there's a lot of white space there, but it's much more important to have a similar size. Okay. So that's how you set some of this up. I mean, look here, we've got it broken down so many different ways. We've used all 3 slicers. It's as simple as that, folks. You're supposed to have fun with this. Designing things, thinking creatively. What would the boss want? How is this useful? What would be the great things to discuss here? So I'm going to show you a little bit more about slicer settings here. And you can see you can hide items with no data. See what I just did there? I right-clicked, hid items with no data, and now we don't have any of those gray boxes anymore. So in reality, we could tighten this up a little bit more. So now we're at a 0.73. So now I can go over here and put in 0.73 and go over here. Now, keeping in mind, we do have some gaps in here. We want to make sure that those gaps are so uniform that your professor doesn't dock any points for things that look out of harmony. Okay, you got to do your best. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of tedious work. But we want to make sure that we look professional here and that our work stands for itself. Now, this one here is a little askew, and so you would have to spend a little bit of time trying to get that just right. And yeah, it is tedious. I get it. Okay. So you have to work on that a little bit just to make sure everything is looking chipper. Okay. Essentially, this is how you set up a dashboard very quickly.